This is a public meeting as required by the Planning Act to afford any person an opportunity to make representation with respect to a proposed zoning bylaw amendment respecting 380, 382, and 3828 Edith Cavell Boulevard. Does any member of council have a disclosure of interest? Seeing none, Ms. Leach, what method of notice and when was the notice given to the public for this meeting, please?
Mr. Mayor, as per requirements of the Planning Act, notice was mailed by regular post to every owner of land within 120 meters of the subject land and applicable agencies on June 4th, 2024. Notice was physically posted to the property by municipal staff, and notice was also posted to the municipal website.
Thank you. Mr. McClure, are you presenting?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Sloan. As has been provided, the following is a presentation to present a draft amendment for 380, 382, and 382A Edith Cavell Boulevard in the community of Port Stanley. As can be shown on the screen, the subject lands are denoted as the two parcels. 382A is the landlocked parcel currently to the south of the dwellings that are abutting Edith Cavell. What kind of spurred on this proposal was a land assembly severance that was submitted to the Elgin County Land Division Committee. Ultimately, what they are doing through that application is making the landlocked parcel part of the westerly portion of the existing lands and combining the lots. So it actually has frontage onto Edith Cavell. So as part of that, it's going to recognize a deficient westerly lot frontage and then recognize the existing location of building and structures on the property, and then have reduced side yard setbacks, which is consistent with the residential zones in the area and what has been applied for on Edith Cavell and a number of applications the last number of years. As can be seen on the screen, this is essentially what's being proposed or was applied for through the application is the green area. So that's going to be one parcel of land with the blue area to the south, and then the easterly portion, again, the green area, and then the blue area to the south. The blue area is what's considered the DBS zone, so it's dynamic beach standard. Nothing is being changed as part of this application to address the DBS zone. So that's really a hazard land area that is under kind of regulation by the Kettle Creek Conservation Authority. So it's really just recognizing the existing buildings and structures and allowing for future use of the residential new lots, new aligned lots as part of that consent application. So this is the amendment itself. Part one of the amendment repeals bylaw number 2350. So this was a previous bylaw that was approved to deal with the landlocked parcel. They were reconstructing the cottage on that property, and to deal with that reconstruction at that time, they went through the bylaw amendment process. This is essentially respecting what is already there, so it's no longer needed. And then part two of the amendment introduces Schedule A to the bylaw, being map part 2BH. And then part three of the amendment designates the area and heavy solid lines on that schedule as R1-96. So as you can see on the screen, R1-96 is to the left, R1-97 to the right. That's going to be, you'll see that later on in the amendment, the presentation. But part four of the amendment then introduces a new subsection 9.2.2.96, being that dark area or heavy solid lines on that map part, and then recognizes the existing buildings and structures that are on the date of the passing of this bylaw, and then to address the additional residential section of the Port Stanley bylaw, intends that only one additional residential unit shall be permitted on this new property, given the fact that there's already a dwelling or two dwellings currently on the lands. This would just making sure that there's only one additional residential dwelling that's permitted in the future.
Sorry, can I interrupt?
Yep.
I apologize, Kevin. I've gone through this twice. How many dwellings are currently there?
So currently there are two dwellings on 380 and 382 Edith Cavell.
Two dwellings on 380 and 382,
Yes,
both winterized, both full year residences.
that's correct.
The third lot, 382A, what's on 382A?
It's a residential dwelling. So it's a seasonal, sorry, it's a full year-round residential dwelling.
And that's the third dwelling.
That's correct.
And does Dr. Ducalo own all three?
Yes.
What's the presentation for with respect? It's because right now they're all under one. No, they're under two, they're under three addresses and they want to make it how many addresses?
Two. So it's currently, as I'll go back.
Sorry. I looked through it and I just found it a bit, I'm sure it's quite standard, but he wants to change one of the lots so that it is not landlocked.
That's correct. So by looking at on the figure on the screen, so that kind of white roofed building currently is the landlocked parcel, that's 382A.
Now, was it always landlocked?
Yes. So it's historically dealing, it's cleaning up a historical situation. So it has frontage on Edith Cavell. So what they're doing through the severance is essentially connecting or taking off, and I can't, unfortunately, there we go. Yeah. So right kind of where my cursor is, right around here, this portion of the property, that where my cursor is currently, or was part of this parcel to the east. As part of the land division decision, they've severed off that portion and are adding it to the lands to the south that make up 382A.
Thank you. And Kevin, this is only possible because the owners own all three, correct?
Yes, I mean, it's one application, given the fact that they
Right.
own all the property.
I got the clarification I needed. Thank
Okay.
you.
So that brings us then to, so this is the new section of the bylaw. So that's again, 9.2.2.96.2 recognizes those two existing detached structures. So part of that merger, and then provides that the, again, only one additional residential unit. Recognizes that the lot frontage of 7 meters. So again, when by severing it off, that frontage is narrower than is standard. So it just recognizes that frontage given the shape of the lot. Recognizes then the location of the buildings and structures. So again, recognizing that these buildings and structures exist, so they're allowed to exist, but any future enlargements, changes have to respect the general standards of the R1 zone, save and except, which they have a side yards is 1.2 meters. It's a carryover from the old zone that was on the 382A and is consistent with what's been applied for down essentially to the west of this property along Edith Cavell. And then the exceptions provide for what is asked for through this amendment process on this property. So it just provides those exceptions to the general provisions. The part 5 of the amendment then identifies that area in the hatch lines as that R1-97. Again, provides that buildings and structures of the permitted uses are allowed on the property. And then recognizes again the locations of the existing building and structures. So again, there's buildings that are currently there, so they're allowed to exist. That sub B then again says that any additions has to respect the general provisions of the R1 zone. So dealing with setbacks, everything else, except again for that side yard, and then the exceptions to the general provisions. And then as we do with all of the amendments, we do a consolidated map part showing being Schedule B that has all of the amendments that have been made to date on that map part, including the one that's being proposed here to date, as shown here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McClure. Ms. Leach, any written submissions?
Mr. Mayor, no correspondence has been received.
Ms. Leach, is there anyone online?
Mayor Sloan, there are no virtual attendees.
Any member of council have any questions? Any members of the public in the gallery have any questions? Seeing none, everyone has been given a fair opportunity to be heard. If there are no further questions, please be advised that any person wishing further information on the actions of council regarding the passing of a bylaw on the proposed amendment should email Delaney Leach indicating which public meeting they wish to be notified on, providing their name and address. Those who do not have access to a computer can call Delaney Leach at 519-631-4860. Any amendment to the bylaw will be considered at a future meeting of council. This public meeting is adjourned at 6:43. Thank you. This is a public meeting as required by the Planning Act to afford any person an opportunity to make representation with respect to a proposed minor variance respecting 133 St. George Street in the municipality of Central Elgin. Does any member of the committee have a disclosure of interest concerning this proposal? Seeing none, Ms. Leach, what method of notice and when was the notice given to the public for the meeting, please?
Mr. Chair, as per requirements of the Planning Act, notice was mailed by regular post to every owner of land within 60 meters of the subject land and applicable agencies on June 4th, 2024. Notice was physically posted to the property by municipal staff, and notice was also posted to the municipal website.
Thanks, Ms. Leach. If the applicant or agent is in attendance and wishes to come forward to the podium and explain the application. Welcome, Mr. Hayhoe. If you just push the button, sir.
Perfect. Thank you. Not used to doing this now. Good to be back after a few years. This is for our own home at 133 St. George Street. So my wife and I built there in 1999, and in 2006 we did we call it the pool project, and some of the retaining wall and the pool shed are in the open space zone. So we did a variance in 2006. And now we want to change it a little bit. So we did consultation through the Central Elgin Planning Office and came to be in agreement, and Steve assisted with a planning report, and we're in agreement with staff's recommendations, and hence we submitted the application showing the location of the retaining wall. It replaces an existing one in a revised location. Through consultation, we were on site with Joe Gordon, Kettle Creek Conservation Authority, and we understand that we have his support. We do have to do a separate application with the Conservation Authority. That's in process. But we've also consulted with him, and he's given us the list of things that we need to do. So we will do that shortly. We will also submit a building permit application soon once trusting that the variance is granted. So that's real quick, the project, and happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from council? Be nice to have an idea of a place to go on a hot day and a nice pool. Is any written submissions on this proposal or anyone online, Delaney?
Mr. Chair, I have no virtual attendees and no correspondence has been received on the matter. Thank you.
Any further questions from the council? Seeing none, everyone has been given a fair opportunity to be heard. Committee prepared to make a decision. All those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Those wanting to be notified of the committee's decision on any application should email or call Delaney Leach here at the municipality. This public meeting is adjourned at 6:48 p.m. Thank you.